Mr. Edward O. Fitzgerald forgot to mention what would happen if Barney Sheehan ceased to be. Or the White House.
Civilization would cease to be. QED.
I suppose so.
Yeah. Sorbing Tom.
Tom Maloney actually reminded me of my mother there. She uses she uses all the receipts in the shop to write on.
As you do.
That's my dad.
I'm just going to read this one. A section of memoirs which I've started to write. Way before I actually went to Knute Skinner's release of his memoirs. So I'm just not following him, but what I read on his memoirs I would like to follow. This is actually called The Middle of the Track. For now, it could change later on. My mother had gone to every doctor in town, hoping to find something to help me keep down the bottle. I had already been anointed, and the bottle my mother held in her hand, prescribed by Dr. Liddy, was my last chance to hold on to life. And the man that lived beneath our two-roomed flat at number 14 Halls Range, Edward Street in Limerick, had arranged with my mother that she tap on the floor if I should pass away. I'm still here. My vague memories of that two-roomed flat was the barking of a German shepherd dog, a potty in the corner, and worms for some reason. My memory of the street is hazy and distant. However, I do remember a quarry and some lad shooting a crow from the sky with a bow and arrow made from a sally tree. The arrow had a nail on top, and I can still see the crow scuttling from the sky. We moved from Halls Range to Ballinanty in 1950. I was 3 years old, and I can remember the Mulcahy's on the corner in number 22 Miles Road was there before we arrived. Ballinanty was still under construction. The steps to the entrance of our new house in 3 Miles Avenue was temporary, made of cement blocks and wooden planks. It was a very wet day, and I remember my dad splitting cardboard boxes and laying newspapers on the fresh concrete floors to stop the mud from sticking. I think, but I couldn't be sure, if it was in the back of an army truck with my parents' worldly possessions that I made my entrance to Ballinanty. Their worldly possessions consisted of 1 straw mattress, 4 wooden chairs, a small kitchen table, a paraffin heater, 1 set of bedsteads with 4 brass knobs, and a pram. At least we would have room for the pram downstairs in our new house. In Halls Range, my mother had to drag it up and down the stairs, God only knows how many times a week. The house was a 3-bedroom dwelling with a built-in bathroom. We had our own front garden and a much larger back garden. As a 3-year-old, I was curious about what went on outside the house, watching the labourers and the tradesmen laying the roads and the footpaths from inside the sitting room window. I seemed to be fascinated with the bricklayers and the carpenters shouting and laughing with each other as they went about their daily work. But most of my curiosity was focused on what lay behind the big wall at the top of the avenue. As I grew older, my curiosity became more intense, until at last I was old enough to climb the wall. What lay before my eyes was one of the most beautiful sights I had ever seen. I can still feel the soft summer breeze gently on my face, and the warmth of the sun resting on my forehead. But I was only 6 years old. When the sight of a cornfield almost ready to harvest, with the sun beating down on it, turning it to gold, was magic to my eyes. Learning later on in life that it had been compulsory for farmers to grow so many acres of corn to boost the food chain after the Second World War. sitting on top of that wall through my childhood years, became my haven of knowledge on farming, watching Luke McMahon and his son Martin work the land. I could feel a hint of farming in my blood. At times I fantasized on what life might be like if I had my own farm, growing my own corn, ploughing my own field and milking my own cows. As I got older, I would walk round the cornfield rather than flatten it, giving out to the children for doing what I had done when I was younger, flattening the corn and damaging his crops. I could feel Luke's frustration in my bones even though I was very young. I could sense there was no future for his farm in this newly built up area. Ballinanty was an invasion into Luke McMahon's way of life, and I couldn't help wondering if Luke had the knowledge to know what the future had in store for his land. You see, back then it was compulsory. Back then it was compulsory. Back then it was commonly known that a married couple had to have 3 children before they could acquire a council dwelling. It was also known that a child could be passed on to a relative, a family member, or even a friend to make up the magic number 3 in a bid to secure a place to live. There was over 500 houses under construction in Ballinanty at the time. Could you imagine the amount of children that was about to rain down on the immediate area within the next 5 to 10 years? Hence the destruction of Luke's farm.